What's up, everybody? This is Husbands Know Better. I'm Ben Husband. It's my brother Daniel Husband, our dad Daryl Husband. We're here to talk some NBA conference playoffs. But before
And
we get
Ben is
into
back
that,
from the dead.
yes, rough week last week. Back in action. Kids are
You,
healthy, thankfully.
and you
Uh,
still remember how to podcast, right?
we'll see. Might be a little bit rough when I some of the wrong buttons.
Ben's just sitting there. And this is the husband.
Who are we
Fake.
again?
Who are
Uh,
you?
so today we're going to start off talking about I'd like to say it's a legendary series from this past weekend. So OKC and Denver went the distance, 7 games. Although unfortunately, OKC really not knocked them out of there after the last one. It was a exciting series the whole way through. There was a lot of back and forth. I think I had pretty much written Denver off after their 7 game series against the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs. But OKC just proved too much for the Nuggets. And unfortunately, they succumbed to some injuries. By the end of it, they were already hopping along with their 6-man rotation. But last night, Oklahoma City ended the series with the defeat against the Nuggets. Dad, what are some of your first read off of the series? What are some of the takeaways?
I thought that, and I agree with you. It was an awesome series. First 6 games were just awesome, riveting, great storylines. Surprised that Denver had the gusto to go the distance, and then last night's game was just rough. It was rough. They somewhere in the second quarter, the power switch went off, and everybody on Denver just had no gas left. You could see it in everybody. Gordon played like maybe 5 minutes of the third quarter, and he was done.
He was
You
suffering
know,
through a hamstring injury, which I didn't find out until after the game.
yeah.
Apparently, it was impressive that he played the 24 minutes that he did because
I mean,
he was.
they
Yeah,
were talking about him not even making the game, but I mean,
yeah.
I'm proud of him for showing up though, at least because like again, it's game seven. Nothing's happening after game seven. So, you know,
Go big or go home, and
mm,
he definitely made an impact. It
eight
unfortunately,
points, 9 rebounds, I think.
yeah, in 24 minutes though, that's pretty good if you're playing with an injury. And out of all the Nuggets, he only had a plus minus of -9, which compared to everybody else, there were some guys that were like minus
Uh,
36. That was pretty bad.
Oh,
yeah.
who I
It
think
was horrid. It was just horrid. It was, you could tell they ran out of gas.
Mhm.
You really could tell every single one of them.
I mean,
Maybe not
they
Christian Braun, or Brown, but the rest of them, even Westbrook looked a little slow. Uh, Strother, I mean, looked energetic, but I mean, when you're playing at best 9 minutes a night,
Yeah, you better be fresh for those 9 minutes.
yeah, he doesn't get the same understanding. No, okay, and OKC was amazing, and watching Alex Caruso guard uh, Jokic was just insane. I'm looking at it like he's all over Jokic. And Jokic could not get anything going, and the steals and the swatted balls. I couldn't believe that this is the best guy on the planet that, playing in a game seven. It was sad to watch, but I was impressed with OKC, and I think I'll hold it there until we get to the finals. But they played a great game last night. They really did.
Yeah, I think when you have back-to-back game sevens, like you just can't be expecting much, especially when they were playing every other night. I mean, granted,
Yeah.
they had 2 games, 2 nights off between game four and game five, and then game six and game seven. But I mean, like it's just not enough to rest the body, and it's not, they're still a younger team, but they're not, you know, spring chickens either. I'm not surprised that they ran out of gas, but it was definitely a bummer to see them just lights out after the second quarter.
They also were playing 40 minutes a game
Yeah.
every. I mean, OKC's deeper. the reality for Denver, unfortunately, is they have 6 players and 2 guys that they can inject for 5 to 10 minutes. That's going to make Jokic, Gordon, Murray for sure play 40. Porter, he rarely gets 40, but he ran out of steam too, and even at 38 minutes. But they just Christian Braun was still energetic in the game. He was the only one. It just the small rotation, the 7 games followed by 7 games, it was too much for Denver.
Let's not
Yeah,
forget too that game 4 where they were coming off of, playing every other game, headed right from the Clippers series. That was the game where neither team scored 100 points, and they only lost by 6.
Yeah,
That game was within throwing distance for them. They could have possibly won that game and then, won the series out in 6.
yeah,
it it was a tough. It was a physical series too. I mean, all of these series have been super physical. It's been nice seeing the refs just swallow their whistles and let them beat the mess out of each other.
What do you guys
yeah.
think about that in light of how the NBA has been evolving? Because I feel like in the last maybe 10 years or so, things have gotten a lot more soft. And this has really been like a throwback to 90s basketball. I see guys grabbing Jokic arms. There are guys that are like being real physical and pushing on each other. Is that is that good to have the game be that different in the playoffs versus the regular season?
I don't think it's. I would rather see it during the regular season. I hate 2 different kinds of games being officiated. I don't like that. I'd like to see a little tougher basketball instead of the popping threes type of thing. I don't. I mean, I like the 3 of us. We just love basketball. We'll watch anything. Watching Kai's games are just as captivating as watching a Celtics game. For everyone who doesn't know, Kai is Ben's son,
You
who
heard it here,
is 8 years
folks.
old.
As exciting as an NBA game.
Yep.
I mean, I can't. I agree because like I'll be. It's funny that you mentioned that because I'll be sitting there and I'll see 2 kids playing on this like one on one like in their like on the street in their driveway. And I'll just be sitting there and just like be picking apart their games. I'm like, gosh, they're 10. Leave them alone. They're just trying to live their life.
No, just go out there and play with them.
It's just like, hey, Dad, he's got a weak side right there. Just like, you gotta exploit that right there.
Yeah.
I
I
will
was just
say,
going to finish it
oh,
off
sorry.
with no, just that it, it, it's good for the league. I think it makes it more captivating when you slow it down. People can ingest it more. But when you're running down the sideline, you pop a 3, then you come back. You know, it may be a fast break, but half the time those fast breaks turn into threes that they pop again. And
Tyler
I
Harrow
think there's
pulling one up.
more to. Pardon me.
Tyler Harrow pulling up for a 3 on that fast break.
Yeah, it's more captivating when they work it around and get a play in. I'm not against the 3-point line at all, but I'm when it becomes everything and no one else is trying to work it inside. You're closer to the basket, and as the Celtics fan of the 3 of us, watching 45 shots get missed in a single game is you just have to wonder, when do you stop popping threes when they're not going down? Obviously, after 40 wasn't enough.
What did you think, Daniel? You were going to comment on something?
Yeah, so I actually kind of disagree a little bit on this one. I do want to make mention. I do like that there's more physicality to it. Everybody likes grabbing shirts and fighting around a screen and
Oh
getting up
yeah,
in somebody's business. The issue where I heard this, I heard a really good take on this one, and I think this is going to lead into our discussion with the conference finals too, is there's such a massive difference between there's been such a massive difference between the games played during the regular season rather than the playoffs, where you have games during the regular season. It kind of treats the games The regular season games, like they don't matter. Um, so, and especially with this now, because we have a third and fourth seed going at it in the playoffs versus I mean, granted, it's the one seed still in there for the West, but you have a 1-6 matchup. I love the physicality, but the part that the constant conversation is how do you get people watching and staying captivated during all 82 games? And we've got the playoffs and everybody's riveted to the playoffs this year unlike last, which is great. How do we get the regular season to matter? And that's a going issue.
They're
So
fighting against the NFL.
yep.
That's the biggest
And
problem. The NFL is number one, and it's not even close.
and that's definitely a further conversation for another day in regards to it because I can spend 20 minutes riffing on this one, but for the sake of time, I'll keep my thoughts to myself. But for me, I love it. I love that I love that everybody's just super engaged in the playoffs this year. However, we need more. We need more for the regular season.
Yep. Let's talk a little bit about Dad's favorite series, Knicks and Celtics. Fortunately, I
The
think
wheels on the bus fell off.
Oh man,
Oh,
something
geez.
really hard, real
I would have
hard.
liked to attribute this series to Tatum's injury because that would just underscore the whole thing. But the fact that it was going so poorly before he got injured really just made me scratch my head and wonder if, he was playing through something to begin with. You had the game where they missed 45 three-pointers. And, at what point do you stop shooting your threes? And hey, we've still got a lead. Let's maybe drive to the basket a little bit.
They the game was lost. Game four was lost already. Tatum going down was not the underscore of it, but it was the exclamation point on what a disaster this series was. It was just a complete disaster.
But it wasn't like Tatum was I mean the part that I think was just so harsh was that he and Bronson were basically just going at each other. It was you come down, Bronson, you know, play oh, you were talking about game four.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no, like they were going at each other in game four. Brunson scores and then Tatum comes down, scores, and they were just basically going back and forth at each other, which is an awesome, just an awesome way to go in a series. But then the air gets taken out of the air gets taken out of the
Well, the
state.
problem was that we just kept they kept chipping away at the lead, and
Mhm.
we just watched the lead disintegrate, and right before our eyes, just like in the first two games, and we just don't know how to react to it. There's going, this is the one thing I was going to say. I'll jump right to this. The Cavs and the Celtics, for whatever reason, in these two series, yes, the Cavs had injured players, but eventually Darius Garland came back. And what I was going to say is they just couldn't stop the bleeding, either the Cavs or the Celtics. Once you start, losing your lead, something starts going wrong, you've got to be able to stop it. Someone's got to get in there and say, hey, give me the ball. We're going to slow this down. We're going to just run down and throw another three. Run down, throw another three. Donovan Mitchell, let's just give it to Donovan Mitchell and let him figure it out. No one's going to help him out. It's why the Celtics and the Cavs are watching Eastern Conference Finals from home.
I think at least in the Cavs situation, they do have some injuries that they could argue because even when their guys came back, they were already down in the series at that point. The Celtics squandering their leads, it did seem like they got to the point where, well, we're just going to keep shooting threes because that's what we do. But when it's not going and you go 8 minutes without making a basket, you've got to try, like you said, you got to try something different. And it seemed like
Honestly,
they,
I don't think we should give. Oh, sorry.
oh, God.
I was gonna say I don't think we should give too much. I don't think we should give too much. I don't know. Um, leeway to the Cavs. They had leads in their first two games and they blew them all. And one of those leads was what was it, an 8 point or 8 point lead with like a minute left to go in the game or something like that. And they just threw it all away. I If they'd gotten beat by like 15 points or 10 points those first two games and it was like Indiana just holding on to a lead the whole time, I'd be like, sure, no problem. But the fact that they blew two leads at home told me that there was something else wrong with them other than just injuries.
I think Tyrese Halliburton really had himself a field day too.
Oh, sure. I mean that like those Pacers, that Pacer team is a force to be reckoned with, and they were what, top three best teams after the All-Star break. And Halliburton finally found himself. Granted, Halliburton only had 8 points in one of those games, but um, that team has definitely unlocked something. So, and I mean, they're fast. They have the fastest pace right now, and this is in, during the playoffs, everything slows down unless your name is the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, that's weird how that's worked out.
Yeah.
It's real weird.
And it's funny too because Rick Carlisle, I never knew him as a guy that ups the pace of to push the pace of a team, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, his Dallas teams weren't that way.
No, I mean they were good teams, but they never seemed
Blow
like
it down and grind it out.
I mean, you go back to when he was coaching the Pistons, right? They were more defensive, weren't they?
Carlisle never coached the Pistons.
Not sure that's right,
My
Ben.
bad.
Carlisle coached the Pacers prior to Dallas.
I remember the Dallas years. All right, well, moving on.
Okay.
Let's
talk about conference finals, Ben.
Let's talk about the conference finals. All right,
Rick Carlisle and Larry Brown do look
not at all alike. all.
Guys,
man.
keep on talking. Forgot to charge my plug my laptop in, so I'm just gonna be doing something really quick. So I am looking. You're just gonna see me disappear for a quick second.
Conference finals, Ben.
Conference finals. We got 4 teams left. The Thunder play the Timberwolves tomorrow night. I got to go on about this again. Who the heck writes the schedule for these games? You've got the Knicks and you've got the Pacers who are on like a 5-day break. They haven't played since like Wednesday of last week, and then you're gonna throw Oklahoma City into the Timberwolves tomorrow night on 1 day's break. I get it, they had a 7-game series, so they should be punished a little bit for that. But like, why make them go first? That just does not make any sense.
2 years off after they beat the Grizzlies. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, well, that's true, Daniel. But the one that's funny is it switches to him and he's blank because he's not there.
Sorry, I am so sorry.
Okay.
I forgot to plug my laptop in.
Oh, Rick Carlisle coached the Pistons he did coach the Pistons.
Oh, he did?
Real quick. I did a little Google there while you guys were riffing.
Good job. Okay, let me jump in.
All right, go ahead.
Stay on this because I think Madison Square Garden, they've got to go on what's already scheduled there. I'm wondering if that's what they went on. That's all I'm saying. Why there's
the Liberty aren't playing there. They play.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I was gonna say the Liberty aren't playing there. They play at Barclays.
That's because it's too expensive to rent out that arena for like 50 people to come.
Oh my
dude, they're having concerts there. Billy Joel played a year-long what do they call that? He was there for like a year. It's not just a basketball arena. It's
a lifestyle.
And the Rangers are done too, but they play hockey there too. So there's a lot of other things that get scheduled in there. I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why that there was a break that long.
I'm sure there's a perfectly legitimate reason, and I'm also sure that the NBA may just pre-schedule some of these things. I just had to rant about it because I think I also said something about it when the Thunder put the Grizzlies out and in four, and there were other teams that hadn't even played game three yet. So
Right.
that's all.
Exactly. You did. And then Denver has to go and play a 7 game series with the Clippers and turn right around and play OKC.
A
Yep.
rested Thunder team. Exactly.
And the Thunder are the youngest team in the league.
Yep.
So maybe more reason to throw them in.
They got all the energy in the world. They're fine.
Yep.
They are really linked in together. I'm amazed at the rotations on defense. They constantly swarm Denver.
They were doing a great
I'm
job of
picking-
double teaming Jokic while still leaving a guy to cover the wings for 3-pointers. Seeing them shift on D was it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, they were awesome. I'm going to pick them in 5, even though I love Minnesota. I really like the coach. I like the concept. I love Julius Randle finally coming alive. I like him. I think he's a decent guy, decent player, and he was so bad in the playoffs for so long. I mean, most stars, if nothing else, can stay the same in the playoffs, not get horrifically worse like he would. He just forgot how to shoot a ball.
It's almost like he was like James Harden's son or something like that.
Yeah. Well, Harden just goes out partying. I think that's half his problem. I don't want.
I'm curious to see, honestly, though, how the defensive rotations go for OKC against Minnesota, because honestly, you really don't need to worry about Gobert that much. I mean, with Hartenstein and Holmgren, I mean,
Well, look who Caruso was guarding Jokic.
yeah.
Game 7. I mean,
they're gonna put my assumption is they're gonna put Caruso on Randall, and Dort on Ant.
Okay.
That's my assumption.
Sure.
Um,
That's what I would figure.
yeah, like you're not gonna have you don't put Caruso on Gobert. That's just silly.
Unless he drops 25 and 20 on you.
I mean,
yeah, like that. Like that game 5 against Golden State.
That's right.
Oh man, I mean, who knows? I will say this. Yeah, Randall has been a key contributor for them, but I think this series is when you like look at it and go, I bet they're wishing they have Cat right now. I bet they wish they still had Cat. I could be wrong, but I definitely think that gets exploited a lot because
we'll see. Randall was money against Golden State. He
Yeah,
put all the doubters to bed.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, I like I do like the guy too. I like the guy. He's a good guy, but yeah, no, I don't know. We'll see. I think they are going to be a good matchup I think they will be a decent matchup for OKC. And the one thing that we did learn from this Denver series, not the Memphis series, of course, but from the Denver series, is that like you can make OKC bleed. They've figured out ways to like exploit some of their weaknesses.
In a way, I'm curious to see. It's gonna. I don't know. I did so poorly on the conference semis that I'm doubting my picks. I mean, I had the Cavs in 5 and the Celtics in 5, and they weren't.
I mean, to be fair, I think everybody, if I remember correctly, I hearing the numbers from FanDuel, they had oh gosh, the Celtics at like -600.
Yeah,
for that series.
Really steep odds.
By the end, it was New York +200. So I mean, or -200. So it's not like you were like making a really foolish decision.
So who's your pick for the Thunder series, Daniel?
Thunder in 6, but I could totally see it going to 7.
Yep. I'm going to agree with you. I think OKC is going to take it in 6. I think this could be a really good matchup for Minnesota. So I could see it going to a 7-game series, but OKC showed a lot of life in that last game. I'm thinking that rest isn't going to make a difference, but who knows? Coming off of that 7 game series, that might have hurt them.
Minnesota's also a physical team too. So I mean they can get scrappy with the Thunder. So I don't think it's going to be a complete wash. And again, we take our pot shots at Rudy Gobert, but he can still slow down the paint. So
He can still slow down the paint. He can still score, although who knows if that's going to happen in this series. I do think it's important to point out. So the team split 2-2 in the regular season. They each won one home game and one away game. So it's not even like home court advantage uh, played into it at all there.
Right.
And Minnesota had that one game where they were down, I think, was it by 15 or 20 in the fourth quarter, the last time that they played against the Thunder, and they ended up winning by 3.
oh yeah, that was like near the end of the season too. Minnesota did get a lot. They were like the Pacers. They got a lot better once you got past the All-Star break.
Yep.
They had that rough start, but they figured it out near the end. I want to just point out one other thing. I would say going forward, I think I am pulling for Minnesota just mainly because Mike Conley's on the Timberwolves right now, and he's the last of the grit and grind Grizzlies. And boy, I would love to see one of the. He was always my favorite player for those teams, and I would absolutely be delighted to see him get one.
Absolutely.
He was such a great floor general. That's the thing I always remember about him is he knew how to run the floor.
He was the only guy in the league back in the heyday that averaged more steals than Chris Paul as a point guard. There were plenty of years that he would average more steals than Chris Paul. He was outstanding, and he just didn't get enough love because he was in the Western Conference playing for a very small team.
Yeah. Yeah. And he wasn't really a grit and grind Grizzly. He was, I mean, yeah, he was on the team, but you think of Zach Randolph and
Tony
Tony
Allen, the
Allen.
grandfather.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Last but not least, Knicks Pacers. I looked up. So Knicks took 2-1 in the regular season.
Mhm.
Knicks are favored by 5 in game 1. I'm going to take the Pacers in this one. They showed a lot of life. I think they are going to be a hard team to stop. I'm taking Pacers in 6.
I've got nothing on this one. I feel like it's gonna be a coin flop or coin toss. It's crazy because going into the Boston Knicks series, if you told me one team was gonna get injured, it would have been like the Knicks. Oh, it's the Knicks. It's what happened with them last year. Thibodeau has the harshest rotations, if you even want to call it that. Everybody plays heavy minutes. It's got to be them, and they stayed
Play till you
resilient.
drop, and now you rotate in.
What's that?
I said play till you drop, and then you rotate in. That's the rotation.
Yeah, Josh Hart is like bleeding from the face, and he's like, oh, I got these free throws.
Get back in.
Yeah.
Get back in.
2 free
Get
buckets,
cloth
baby.
and wipe it off. Yeah, oh man, I don't know. I want to say Knicks in 6, but I don't like it. I think I don't know. That Pacers team's terrifying. They just completely dismantled the Cavs. But the Knicks took out the Celtics and embarrassed them.
Yeah. I'm more impressed with the Knicks taking the Celtics out. So I think I'm going to go with Knicks in 7. Just for sheer grit. I think Indiana's excellent, and I probably like their use of the bench better with Toppin and McConnell and Mathurin. But there's something about that Knicks team. I don't know what it is, but they are tough. And
Honestly,
never say die.
what's funny is Bridges is such a wild card because he has those moments where it's just like you forget that he's on the court, and then a minute later he's got 15 steals and is like killing you in fast breaks.
Yeah.
because he just pickpocketed you like a billion times.
Here's an interesting thought, just to throw it into this game. So the Knicks were a bottom 10 defensive team before Mitchell Robinson came back in February. From that point on, they were a top 5 defensive team. And they showed the sequence in the closeout game against the Celtics where he guarded each Celtic that was on the floor. And then at the end, he stole the ball from Jaylen Brown and outletted it for a fast break and a score. But it was just the impact he had as your backup center. I think he's a nice compliment if you're not relying on him for points. You're just looking for defense, rebounds. Maybe Indiana would do the hack-a-shack thing on him like Boston tried to do. But we
Are
just
you saying Mitchell Robinson's our X factor?
a little bit. Yeah, I think I am.
No, I think that's fair.
What's that?
Oh, I think you're completely right. I would say it's either Mitchell Robinson or honestly, I think it's I would say it's either him or I know I already mentioned Mikal Bridges, but I think Bridges needs to show up for the series.
Yeah, I think you're right. Bridges was amazing in this series. The defense, the steals, the timely threes or scoring. He was just amazing. I think, I'm feeling more and more confident about the Knicks in 7.
All right.
Okay, Ben, you're on. Who do you think?
Yeah, he already said Pacers in 6.
Pacers in 6 is my
Oh.
bet. But
oh no, you go.
I think it's gonna be a good series. Which I don't know. I also picked OKC in 6, which I think that's gonna be a good series too. So I don't know. Should be an interesting
I
conference
don't think you can
finals.
go wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go wrong. Like I said, I think this series is going to really be a coin flop or a coin toss, which I think it's probably going to prove me wrong, and one team's going to get blown out, and they're just going to sit there just being like, "Wow, we're really bad at this." But Ben, you can honestly spend 5 minutes talking me into the Pacers, and I would have a hard time disagreeing with you.
Halliburton's getting hot at the right time.
He really is, and if his dad starts showing up on the court, who knows?
Isn't he not allowed to come to the games?
I don't know how long that suspension was, but
no, he said Dad is not coming. He's going to be out for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, what Alberton said.
Yeah, that was
Ben. Imagine if we had to have that conversation with Dad.
Yeah.
Just go up and be like, "What is wrong with you? What are you thinking?
Oh man,
you are a marshmallow to Giannis, man."
Imagine that standing, you're looking up at this guy, telling him that's how you bleep and do it. Like,
oh my God.
What are you thinking, buddy? He's jacked.
What an idiot.
I watched that video like 15 times, and it's so ridiculous because it's just like it's so awkward too. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, he just got a little bit too hopped up after his son won the game.
What's funny though is I've heard some people say this, that like if you go to AAU games, it's exactly that.
Gosh,
you have like two dads fighting each other in the parking lot, which is incredible.
That's so pitiful. Hey, Ben, you made a comment about getting hot. Minnesota has only lost 3 games since March 28th. And they are 25-6 since March 1st.
Jeez.
And that includes the playoffs.
I mean, who saw them dismantling the Lakers and then in turn completely unraveling Golden State? I didn't see either of those things happening. I was waiting for yet another Golden State series in the conference finals.
I think that's actually really cool though that they actually took out both the Lakers and Golden State. So they took out 2 of the NBA legends.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of like a rite of passage, which is why you could talk me into them even making an insane series where if you told me that they come out of the West, which again I hope they do, like I would totally believe you. Yeah, like you could talk me into any kind of championship lineup and I would believe it.
Yeah, me too.
Which is great. Like genuinely, I think this is like I think this is exactly what we need
Hmm.
for the NBA psychos. It's just it makes predicting things impossible.
It's captivating, really is.
Um, oh, I heard a fun story that Jacoby Walter shared. He was mentioning about how so Jacoby lives in uh um New York, like city, and he was telling Chris Vernon that he was down, you know, doing some stuff, and he went over. They were playing. It was when they were playing in Boston, and but they had, if you go over MSG, they'll just have it up on the big screen. Everybody could just come by and watch the game outside, and just hang out there and whatnot. And Bridges is just having another worldly performance, and I guess I think this is game two. Everybody on the street of watching the game is just screaming. It's because they traded 5 picks for him. Everybody on the street is just screaming, F those picks, F those picks. As like Bridges is dismantling him. It was a really funny story, I thought.
Fans are hungry. It's been a while since they've been to this
Uh,
point, so
Yeah.
Last time they were in a championship game was 1999.
yeah.
That was
Or oh yeah, not
finals.
19.
The conference finals was 2000.
Didn't you say
Yeah,
championship?
yeah, I said championship, but I forgot about 2000. I I think this series is amazing because you have a flashback to the 90s with the Pacers
Indeed.
Indy or
Yeah.
New York and the Pacers. So it's gonna be nice seeing Spike Lee probably screaming at Halliburton the whole time.
Yeah.
Which again, I wish Halliburton's dad was gonna be at the game because I'd love to see him get into a fist fight with Spike Lee. Although Spike Lee's way too classy to do that.
Right. Especially at MSG of
Oh
all
my!
places.
Oh,
I
that
don't
guy
think
would get.
Halliburton wouldn't get out alive.
Oh man, his dad would get fed through a meat grinder. Are you kidding me? That guy would be dead.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, thanks everybody.
Great closing one, Ben.
I
Thanks
was the one that
everyone.
brought it up.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, everybody. This has been Husbands Know Better. We'll catch you next time.
Jeff,